So next up, we have Crossing the Valley, How Startups Win Defense Contracts in Poland, with Izabela Albrycht from Diana Fort Krakow, Balázs Nagy from TYTAN Technologies, Łukasz Jurczyszyn from PGZ, and Tomasz Lepka from Keen Venture Partners, who's going to be moderating. So let's give them a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. I have to admit that it's a real pleasure to be here today in Warsaw, in my home country. And I believe that Poland is actually, whatever this conference represents, is on the front line of it. Like, we are actually the largest defense spender relative to GDP. We're approaching 5%, spending roughly 47 billion euros this single year. And Europe has the right technology, has the right talent, and yet we haven't seen much, and we actually discussed this in previous panels as well, haven't seen much of the contracts, sizable contracts going to European startups. The money is flowing, but it's actually flowing to the defense primes, industry groups that were built for different era of warfare. And this is the exact reason why we created this panel, to unpack it and actually close this gap that we see. And I'm Tomek, I'm from Keen Venture Partners, and I'm joined by three remarkable panelists. I have Izabela next to my left. She's site lead at Fort Krakow NATO Diana, rector's proxy for NATO Diana at AGH University of Krakow. Also, interestingly and very importantly, between 2020 and 2022, she was sitting at NATO's advisory group for disruptive technologies, where she co-created NATO's DARPA and Diana, which is known today actually Diana. Next we have Balázs Nagy, CEO and co-founder of TYTAN Technologies, Munich-based counter-UAS specialist. He co-founded it 2.5 years ago to protect Europe from unmanned threats, building out and iterating from Ukraine and scaling productions in Germany. And Łukasz Jurczyszyn, defense business professional with deep roots in government and European defense affairs. Currently PGZ director of EU funds, and PGZ, Polish Armament Group, is actually the largest defense prime in Poland. And formerly he was a diplomat, analyst, representing Poland in Brussels office of International Institute of Affairs. So let's go into it, and let me start with someone who actually lived through this experience and sold and tried successfully sold into the system. So Balázs, to you. So what was your experience like? Because you've seen incredible momentum over the past months, years, announcing partnerships, announcing deals, and how was this like, and what was the main challenge to actually break into it?
Yeah, thank you very much, first of all, to be here. It's a pleasure for me. As you can see my name, I'm originally from Hungary, and it's always a pleasure to be in Poland. As you know, we had, of course, a great weekend, and after that, even we can strengthen our collaboration. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, when we started back then, it was quite difficult, right? Because we didn't know. I'm originally an aerospace engineer, graduated in the Technical University of Munich, and I had the background of the technology, but for me, was the military new. So how we entered the market was basically in Ukraine, basically on the field, to work together with the end user. Because for us, what is important that we see the military not as a customer, as a partner. We want to equip them in the best possible best equipment, and this is what they can use on the field. And this is something where we came from. It's a very, very hands-on experience. And after that, step by step, it was recognized also by the higher level military. Of course, it's a very, very hard way, because you have a lot of stakeholders. You don't even know which you could connect and which you should connect. But at the end, what matters is what you are doing on the field. And this is also what we learned, and we are always looking for possibilities to help the soldiers on the field. And we all know that when you are doing it hard enough, when you are really there, when you are risking your life on the field, then it will be recognized, and then it will definitely help also for the procurement. We are, of course, we started 2.5 years ago. Now we are about 110 employees. We are scaling our production up to 3,000 pieces per month. And we are working together with the Ukrainian government. We are working together with the German government. And this is something very important for us. We are there also for the Ukrainian in 365 days with the local team.
And what was actually the most frustrating moment for you, you know, along this journey, actually trying to sell the products? If you have to one specific
The most important moment, it's very, very hard, right? So you are doing a lot of things and you don't know which one will be the most important. And I think this is, you have to bind the dots. And you have to do a lot of exercises. We were part of experimental series. We were like always there with the soldiers and trying to connect with the soldiers on the field. And I think everything together make that happen. Because at some point they realize, okay, these guys are always there. We should follow them. And this is also what's changing right now in the ecosystem, that the soldiers and the military is more open for technology because they know they cannot just buy the legacy systems. It will be not enough. We learned that in Ukraine. They need new systems, and for new systems, you need also new companies, new teams. They are coming up with new solutions. Because I think the biggest difference is that we have to be fast now. And together with the primes, we can do that. We can make that happen. They have legacy systems. You have to integrate with them. You have to work with them together. But you have strengths and you have weaknesses. And we together, we could meet him. This is also why we made very successful partnerships with big primes like KNDS, like Hensoldt, like D-Drone. So it was like for us also a very important moment that we know what is our role in this ecosystem. And we have to work together with the military, but also with the primes.
And Izabela, over to you, because Diana sits at the intersection of the startups, the technologies, and the militaries, exactly. Right? And the genuine purpose of it is to create this bridge. So what do you see that it's working, and what's actually not working, creating this bridge?
Thank you for this question. Thank you for inviting me to this important conference. I really value Resilience Conference. I attended 2 editions in London, so I'm super happy to see the initiative here in Warsaw. It is also always ahead of the curve in terms of the discussions, so I do believe that we are actually discussing the very important topic, and your question is very relevant because now, after already 3 years within the NATO Diana program, I can see that we had right when we established Diana, because what Balázs said, based on his experience, is actually what we are trying to provide and propose to our innovators. So basically, we are offering them the world-leading acceleration program, which is unified across all accelerators and member states. And it gives a real high value in terms of how to build a business model for dual-use ventures, how to progress in terms of technology, and so on and so forth. But what is the most important is that we are actually trying to expose those startups to end users. So what we, for instance, did last time when our cohort within Fort Krakow came for the cluster, we actually were able to gather more than 20 soldiers from different branches of Polish military to give a very direct feedback on the solutions which were presented to them by our innovators. And this is like real value. Those solutions are not ready fully to be tested on the battlefield, but at least this type of exchange was very supporting, and it helps startups to progress. So basically, the collaboration with end user, the collaboration with other innovators, and we are actually trying to support that as well, because what was said by Balázs as well, collaboration, for instance, with primes is very important, but what we can see, and we have also proofs on that, is that innovators are also discussing possible synergies between their solutions, and trying to provide integrated solutions. So maybe we will see one day that we are actually supporting federated new primes, which will be able to build competition even with let's say old primes. So I guess that the program is well fitted, and it actually tackle all needs of startups. Of course, it's not enough, and for instance, the real procurement, which was mentioned already, is a real hurdle.
Understood. And you both actually mentioned primes, and we have here the largest prime that really dominates the Polish procurement and also is the largest safe beneficiary. So for like purely independent European startup, like I'm not talking here about PGZ subsidiary or tier 2 supplier, but like TYTAN, what does it actually working with you looks like, and what startups can do to work with you? And just like building upon this, like with the safe, really incentivize that we shift to joint European procurement. So how do you see your role actually evolving into it?
Yeah, thank you so much. In particular, the organizers for this invitation. It's a huge pleasure to take part in this panel among such great speakers and friends, Izabela. So first of all, I would like to focus on the first point that PGZ is it's a business for sure, but with the mission. So our core function, in fact, is this Poland's defense industrial base integrator. So of course, the other important point is to be a reliable supplier for especially for our armed forces. But you mentioned safe, and this is very important, not only because of the huge amount of money that also PGZ will take advantage of, but I think it's, and I really would like to stress it, it's important occasion to learn the completely new game. The new game is the Europeanization of PGZ, is a Europeanization of the Polish defense industry, and there you have a place for new kind of cooperations. And it's not only about safe. I would like to underline that it's the very important momentum, because you have the European Union with the member states have established a huge range of different financial EU instruments now. So safe, of course, it will have expansion of our production capacities, but you have EDIP, which will drive more joint procurements, more cooperations with startups, with different kind of medium and small companies. You have this Polish, very interesting regional instrument based on the EU financement, of course, based on this resilience plan, European reform resilience plan, the security and defense fund, quite considerable. It will be around 23 billions of zlotys. And then you have a regional cooperation, you have a dual use projects, you have new occasions for cooperation, EDF, of course, and the new Ukraine support loan, which we hope it will be deblocked very soon. And I would like to really stress this important new game, on the one hand, of the need for Europeanization, but on the other hand, this localization. So the footprint in Poland, in local-based cooperations, we have a huge, important product as Borsuk. Borsuk complies more than 250 suppliers. So you have this role of integration.
So what I'm hearing is that we have a lot of money, different programs, but so the startups can actually play a role as a like partner or like subcontractor, and like what does the cooperation mean, and can it happen like fast?
Yeah, it's happening. I would just mention the recent partnership signed with Frankenburg from Estonia. That's very promising, interesting proof of this new momentum I just mentioned. This is one of the first startups that we cooperate with an important Mark I project. So this can be financed by EDIP, for instance. So you have a need to launch more corporations, and in the same time you have this financial means that you can use to do it. So I just encourage different startups and different companies also present here to look at our initiatives, and just to finish up with one point that from this Friday we're going to organize 10 regional, local-based forums in the whole country, where there will be this opportunity to exchange with startups, with exchange with local content partners. We are very open, and that's why also a couple of months ago we launched a series of open days. That was for the first time, the first initiative to be more open for this cooperation with the startups you asked for.
And the next thing is actually about the urgency, right, and the speed. And NATO Diana has those frameworks to actually bypass the traditional procurement timelines. I know rapid adoption service and others. Like, are we actually using it, Izabela? Like, are we actually, or this 2-year ceiling that comes with rapid adoption service, is it actually a target, a ceiling, or we can actually start moving soon and fast?
So a couple of thoughts. Rapid adoption service, or maybe I will say to give the local background. We have this saying in Poland that we don't buy a cat in the bag. So basically, you need to first test, validate to purchase, and basically rapid adoption service is the mechanism which allows to have the smaller scale procurement to test, to validate. It is in fact R&D and prototype follow-on contract. So basically I'm very interested to see this development in Poland. I do believe that this mechanism is perfectly crafted, and as far as I know, there are talks on that already, and there is a, I would say, huge interest and openness on the defense part of the environment, and of course also from innovators, because they will be able to get the feedback from end users and basically build the solutions which will be effective and well integrated also with other parts of the whole system, because this is super important. Rapid adoption service and basically rapid adoption mechanism is very good, but we cannot make this important decision too fast, basically. So we need to make sure that those solutions, products, and so on will fit into more strategic operational needs. Yeah. And this is like a process. So while we are preparing rapid adoption service as a mechanism, and we should be, let's say, very determined to introduce it and make it compliant with our regulations and so on in Poland, we need to also think about the interoperability with already existing systems and platforms. And this basically takes time. What I would like to also say, because this is like unique for Polish ecosystem, is that we also establishing NATO Diana Living Lab in Gdańsk. It was already formally open, but tomorrow I'm going for the more working session on that. It will let innovators from NATO Diana establish like installations to demonstrate the capabilities of their solutions. And that will be yet another step to make end users familiar with those solutions, let them to maybe not test, but at least exchange views on the on this solution with innovators see the demonstration in real use cases and so on. So basically this is like the process which can be supported by NATO Diana Living Club, by Rapid Adoption Service and so on, but at the end of the day these decisions are very complex and strategic, so I don't think that we need to rush our military that much, but to make it clear, we are on the same page. In Poland, we are very interested in rapid adoption service mechanism. I know that Polish innovators are in talks already with decision makers.
And going actually to the innovator, right? Because you're building literally one of the most critical gaps in European. So have you seen any shift here? And what are, let's say, the winning strategies to win it? Or like, have you seen any shift here?
I think it's also very important that these initiatives are coming from the governments directly. So the government has the initiative to, and also making signals which companies should work together with which companies, right? So what they want to see. Because at the end for us is also very important to understand, okay, what they want. Like, for example, there is in Germany, the Innovation Center is a very good initiative. They made it as a platform. They are open for startups, but also for primes to test their new systems. And I think it's important that the governments are also taking this responsibility that open for new systems. Of course, they can work together with a prime, but it's important that it's coming directly from the government. I mean, there is, I think also in Poland, there is an initiative for Autonomous Systems Center. Yeah. I heard about that, so it's going in a similar direction. But what we really need is a very, very strong signal who we have to work together and where we can test it, and we have like the direct contact with the military, because there we can also develop fastest. And of course, in that rule, in the ecosystem, other primes also have a very important role, but it has to come from the government directly. And I think definitely in Germany and also in like whole Europe, we have these problems of risk-taking to taking into new companies into the system. I mean, there we need also a completely different mindset, right? So of course it's a risk, but it's a chance and it's an opportunity. Yeah. And this is what we really need here.
And actually, Ukraine changed what we need to procure as Europe, right? And what kind of systems win on battlefield? That, you know, cheap, fast iterated systems can win over multi-billion-dollar spend and decades-long build systems. So, what are PGZ actually doing when it comes to cooperation with Ukraine? And what does it mean to, you know, actually European startups as well, if they can play a role like TYTAN into this?
Yeah, I just noticed that in the previous panel there was a Ukrainian military officer staff. We have a huge cooperation with Ukrainian part. That's why we opened the Polish Ukraine office for this kind of cooperation, and it's really well connected with the new Brussels-based office of PGZ, and because that was my main point, and I'm in charge of this financial part of the business, that you need to have a financial means for this cooperation, and that's why we are looking forward, and we are seeing this, that from the European Union perspective, there is more and more financement for such cooperation. So that's important. There is a money behind, and in SAFE, for instance, Ukraine, that was the second key sense of SAFE. First was to prepare for the major crisis. The second, and fill up our stocks, etc., to be prepared. The second one is to make Ukraine safe, and to do everything to save this sovereign country. And the third point was to reinforce our industrial base. So Ukraine, for sure, especially regarding this domain of unmanned systems, this is a huge lesson for PGZ. That's why the cooperation with our Ukrainian partners is strictly focused on such kind of systems, and the point of financement we are look at that. We are heading a very important momentum. This Ukraine support loan for Ukraine. Of course, that Ukraine will decide where they want to spend, what they want to buy, but it will be 60 billions of euros to be spent
Łukasz,
until
we're running out of time, and I want to just literally do like a fire question. What will be one thing that we would need to change in European procurement that actually is a change? And so, like 10 seconds each, like if you can go.
Starting with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we need to have more considerable financement and investments in the European defense sector. Without that, we cannot scale up, we cannot innovate, and this is something what we can see is happening, which is good.
Balázs?
Yeah, fundamentally, we have to change the thinking to procuring platform. We have to procure capabilities. Because at the end, we see that all the drones and unmanned systems are evolving so fast that you don't have to bet on one drone, but you have to bet on a capability. And this is what we need. We at TYTAN, we are doing in the air defense domain cost-effective counter-drone capability, and that's why we are standing for, and that's why we are also working and evolving. It's a product which will be never ready, and we have to accept this.
Izabela, in one word.
I can only echo my colleagues on that. They said everything what is important.
Great. Thank you so much. So we see the PGZ openness, the bridge, the innovators. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our moderator.
Thank you.